Okay, hello to everybody who's logged in to see us today. My name is John Fell. I'm the head of Faculty of Creative Arts at Southwark College. Creative Arts being a department that includes dance and drama and digital media and art and design and fashion. And today I'm really happy to be talking to Jenny Legg, who's a professional dancer based in London. Jenny's got a long resume. She trained in London and she's appeared in many well-known West End musicals over the last few years, including 42nd Street, Elf, Follies, Mac and Mabel, Singing in the Rain, Top Hat, White Christmas, a long list of great shows. And she's appeared on TV, on This Morning, on Strictly Come Dancing. Again, a really interesting resume of stuff. So hello, Jenny. Thanks for joining us today.
Are you okay?
I am okay. And how's lockdown been for you so far?
Oh, well, we're now in, what is it for me? It's about week 15 for me.
Right.
It's been fine. I'm quite lucky. I'm quite a positive person, so I'm good at turning my hand to stuff and making a path through whatever's going on. So I've been doing a lot of teaching. We've done how many three tap classes so far today, and I've got 2 more after this. But yeah, generally lockdown's been fine. It's just a bit frustrating because all of us want to be on stage, basically.
Yeah, sure enough. I mean, I can imagine that you and colleagues that you have and professionals must be talking a lot about what it's going to be like post-lockdown, when things are going to be open again, when shows are going to be happening again. And I guess, I mean, do people have any idea what that's going to be like?
We've got a vague idea in regards to the fact that, for example, shows might not initially do 8 shows a week. They might do 4 or they might do 5. So there's that. We've got a vague idea on what they might potentially do with taking amounts of seats out so that we have some social distancing. But I think, if I'm honest, I think they're trying to avoid that. I think they would prefer, just for money's sake and for audience sake, that they don't do that. But it is highly unlikely that anything in the West End is going to open any sooner than November at the moment. A lot of shows that we're looking at the beginning of next year, and touring productions is sort of a bit of both, but mainly next year. So sadly, we're going to have had nearly all of 2020 almost with no theatre entertainment, which is a bit sad.
Yeah, I think, I mean, looking back, people are really going to remember this year. I mean, we don't know how long it's going to go on to, but they're going to remember these months of their lives as a really different time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really strange, but I tell you what, it gives us all something to talk about, and it gives us a colourful career, is the way that I always try and look at it. So,
okay, great. Okay. Well, the focus of today, Jenny, is what I really wanted to talk to you about is, we have a large number of dance students at Southwark College. We've been teaching dance there for quite a long time. And we have students who've got all kinds of aspirations, professional aspirations. We've got students who study the various different aspects of dance and the various styles. And some of them leave us to go into work, and some of them leave us to go to higher education to do more study in dance. But basically, they all really want to dance for a living. So what I wanted to talk to you about today was, your view of the kind of the skills, the experience, the qualities needed by people who want to become professionals in dance. So I guess maybe the first question I'd have for you is, can you tell me a little bit about, so where you are now, what jobs have you done to get where you are now? What are the key kind of things?
So, I mean, professionally, to get to where I am now, there are probably 2 or 3 shows that have helped me progress and kind of added to my CV in a more prominent way than others.
Yeah.
The first one of those is Top Hat. So that was my first West End show. It was also my second dance captain opportunity. For anyone who isn't aware of what a dance captain is, it's someone who looks after the choreography of the show when the choreographer is not there anymore. So you're kind of within the show, but you have a little bit more responsibility. So it was my first big dance captain job. And it was a world premiere of a show, which to be able to even say that I've been part of that is such a massive thing to me. It's huge. That probably, even though I'd done Crazy for You and White Christmas before that, that probably kind of really pushed me into the industry. It put me in a place where I met lots of people started to learn who I was, albeit in a very small capacity, but that really helped. And being part of a company learning original choreography that hadn't been done before, some of it, gave me a lot of experience as a dancer
Right.
within that kind of area. My job after Top Hat was Singing in the Rain, in which I got a chance to play my dream role of all time. There is a very well-known dancer from old MGM black and white films called Sid Charisse. Any of you dancers will probably know who I'm talking about, but she was sensational and she was my idol as a kid. And while I did Singing in the Rain, I got to be her part in the show. So that helped me with my confidence. That helped me to realize that these jobs that seemed out of reach and these parts that seemed out of reach were not out of reach. It reminded me that myself and other people who aspired to do that could do it with enough hard work.
Yeah.
And then after that, I did a couple of jobs, which were, amazing. And then I actually didn't work for a couple of years. And I really struggled. It was partly through, personal reasons and partly because there just wasn't any work at the time. And then kind of got Elf and then 42nd Street after that. And both of those shows reminded me not only that I was still good enough to dance, but that I was part of such massive productions. 42nd Street is so huge and so iconic. So I think that really there was the initial job, the Top Hat job, the job that gave me the confidence, and then another job out of that that reminded me that I could still do what I'm doing and be part of something so huge, that have probably helped me to carry on through my career the way that I have, and to meet the people and have the success that I've had. Very long-winded way around that.
No, that's great. So actually, Jenny, following from that, it makes me wonder, what about the time between, I think you studied in London at Bird College, is that right? Is that where you did your training? Yeah, okay. So what about the time after you left Bird, before you got to that point where you thought, okay, things have actually, I feel like I'm kind of recognized and things are going to be good from now on. What about those kind of, was that a long period, and what kind of jobs did you do in that thing? Was that a struggling period for an aspiring professional?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no in regards to the struggle. I graduated in 2007. And between 2007 and 2009, I did the odd, we were actually talking about this the other day, the odd commercial dance job. So the commercial dance world and the musical theatre world are two different things. Doesn't mean you can't do both, but they're two different things. And I did the odd commercial dance job. So that would maybe be a corporate event for one night, or a couple of days, or maybe a week. So nothing too long. I did a lot of hair shows because I have a lot of hair, as you can see. So I did a lot of those. But for 2 years, I auditioned. I got to the finals of lots of things, but I didn't get a musical. I was getting close, but I didn't get a musical. I was working part-time in a restaurant, which is normal restaurant work, front of house work, any work really, promotions, are the kind of jobs that are good to do while you're out of work. But it wasn't so much a struggle as I really felt like it was gonna happen. I just didn't know when.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and that first job in 2009, I actually got because somebody else had turned the job down. So I was actually on a reserve list.
Right.
So it wasn't fluke that I got it. I was on the reserve list for a reason.
Cool.
But if they'd accepted the job, that would have been another job that I hadn't got and would have had to wait until
Right.
White Christmas.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, it took a few years. Apparently, the statistics are that the average amount of years it takes people to get into the West End is 8 years, or at
Wow.
least it was.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a long
Right.
time. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Some people might get that straight out of college. Some
Hmm.
people it might take 4 years. Some people it might not. But apparently the average is 8 years. So two
Yeah.
years to get my first job wasn't too bad.
No, sure. Absolutely. So did you come out of college already having an agent, having some kind of representation, or did that follow after that?
I didn't have an agent straight out of college. We did, which I think a lot of colleges do now, an agent showcase.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So we did that, but when I was at college, I don't think there was enough emphasis and enough importance put on getting an agent. So agents were invited, but barely anybody came. So I remember one agency getting in touch with me and asking me to prepare multiple songs and multiple monologues and having to rent a studio at Pineapple Studios and do all of this work for an audition, and then they didn't even take me. And I remember thinking, God, I hope it isn't like this with everybody, because I can't
Mm.
afford to do that.
Mm.
So instead, I wrote to lots of agents. I
Mhm.
went and met somebody in person who took me on for a couple
Mhm.
of years.
Mhm.
I think I got Crazy for You and White Christmas through that agent. And then they kind of fell off the face of the earth. And then I changed to a recommended agent who I was with for about 4 or 5 years. And then I changed again to the agency
Right.
that I'm with now.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't have an agent straight out of
Right.
college.
Right.
It's not a huge panic if you don't.
Mhm.
A lot of people don't. But there are 10 times as many agents as there were then now.
Right.
So there's a lot of choice.
Okay. Okay. So when you were at college, did you build up a network of people who were the other students who were studying at the same time as you that kind of stayed in touch afterwards? Was that a network that helped you to get work? That's kind of how it was for me. I come from a music background, and that's kind of how it was for me when I left studying music. It was the same in dance.
Yeah, I mean, you can never ever say that being kind. So I always stand by saying be kind to everybody that you work with and be respectful of everybody, whether they're a lighting designer or whether they're your fellow dance
Mhm.
part of your company. It will always stand you in good stead. So I now have, for example, during lockdown, one of my friends who was a year above me in college has a dance school in like south of London, and I've taught for her twice. So she has now kept me afloat by allowing me to teach for her twice. And that's a network relationship from college.
Yeah.
But I probably would say that the majority of my success in the business has been from treating people well and networking with, or not networking in the scary sense, but just talking to people and being personable and finding out about them and keeping in touch to the point where, I don't know, you say happy birthday every year, just little things. But yeah, definitely, particularly in college, when you have even if you have guests that come in, make that connection, say hello, you know, it's really important, I think. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's a people skills kind of business, isn't it? The entertainment industry. Okay. It sounds like you kind of knew the kind of dance work that you wanted to do from quite an early age. Did you specialize in musical theatre when you were at college, or was it not a specialism kind of sort of time? Did that
I So I'm ballet trained
right?
from like a young age. I mean, I say that I've tap danced and done modern dance the same length of time, but I was really heavily ballet trained. So when I was looking at colleges to go to, my dance teacher at home wanted me to go to ballet school. and I didn't want to go to ballet school because I needed, for my sanity, to still do tap dancing and jazz and singing and acting. So yes, I went to Bird College, which is known as a dance and musical theatre. It's now a conservatoire actually, but it's known for that. But I would say that at the time it was more dance heavy than anything else. Not It is a musical theatre college. That's what we were trained to do. But I would say that I probably trained more heavily in dance than anything else, but always knew that my goal would be to go into musicals rather than a dance company. And a lot of colleges, they have people who go all over. They go into TV, dance companies, musical theatre companies, choirs, everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're not kind of hemmed in. But yeah, I've grown up in a musical family, done Amdram most of my life. So musical theatre was definitely in my blood, I think.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really interesting. So I guess, I mean, for our students who are graduating in dance, um, you know, moving into the world of work and how they do that is it's a big challenge, and you know, one of the things that we're really keen on doing is trying to minimize that kind of experience gap for our students, so when they come out they kind of know what it is that's expected of them. What do you think are the two or three maybe key skills or experiences or knowledge that would help students to get those first jobs?
So definitely going back to what I was saying before, in the kindness bracket,
Yeah.
I think if you're auditioning, just make sure that you're trying to show your true self. So there's always this common misconception that you go into an audition and you have to be very serious and you have to be, you know, out for trying to get the prize at the end of it. Auditions, that's a myth. So the auditions that you see on TV and in films where people are elbowing people out of the way, that's not real. You might get the occasional person who does that, but they're just not normal. That's not normality.
Okay.
So I think in an audition sense, definitely make sure you show your true self. Show yourself to be personable and kind. If somebody next to you is asking you a question, or do you know what the next two steps are, don't go, oh, I'm not going to tell them because maybe they'll get the job. You say, yeah, of course, I'll help you. Give them a couple of minutes of your time, and then think about yourself.
Yeah.
I promise, from a panel perspective, that will make you look like an employable person, a good team player.
Sure.
And that's so important. I think that you should always try and be prepared. So don't go to an audition. I've been a culprit of this many times in my career, but I've been caught out. Don't go to an audition where you know nothing about the show you're auditioning for, nothing about the choreographer, nothing about the director. Make sure you do your research. So even if all that you find out is that 9 to 5's lyrics and songs were written by Dolly Parton, even if you've got something to speak to the panel about when you go in for your singing or acting call, assuming that, you know, that's what you're going to do, if they speak to you and ask you if you know anything about the show, it's better to say yes and actually know than to say yes and not know, or to say no that you don't know anything.
Sure.
People want to know that you are passionate about what you're auditioning for,
Sure.
even if you're not, even if you're just going for the experience, make sure you know. And a sort of a third thing, which kind of links into that, is just to be prepared. So be prepared for whatever is coming. Make sure you've trained, make sure you haven't been out for 8 pints the night before, and know that it's sometimes you can't avoid birthday parties or things like that. Have fun, enjoy your life, but trust me, like they will, they'll know straight away. And you need to be seen to be professional as well as being chilled and yourself and coming across in that way. Be prepared with your outfit, the way that you've got your hair, have your makeup done if you're a girl, or a guy if you wear makeup, whatever that is, just be prepared. It's really important.
Sure.
I would say that's probably my advice.
Okay, that's great. Well, actually, that makes me think. If so, If you could give advice to your younger self when you were, say, 16 or 17, is there anything key that you can think of that you'd say now that you maybe didn't know then?
Yes, lots of things. Um, no, I've always been quite good, quite being the operative word, at taking opportunities when they come my way. But there were definitely things at 16 or 17 that I might have been given in a class or a classroom and felt silly, or felt like I'd make a fool of myself, so I avoided them.
Mhm.
And it then took me quite a few years in the industry to be able to make a fool of myself comfortably, or do silly things, or I don't know. For example, in the Wicked auditions, there's a routine where you have to be a monkey. And I felt stupid doing it the first couple of years because I wasn't used to just being a yes person.
Mhm.
So I always tell my students now, anybody that I'm teaching or talking to like this,
Mhm.
to just try and be a yes person, obviously within reason. If
Yeah.
it's something you're really uncomfortable with, then don't do it. But if it's, a class that you're not as comfortable with, give it a go, because you'll find within no time at all, it actually is nothing to you, and you just get on with it. So I would definitely give myself that advice at 16, 17, to do those contemporary contact dance classes that I didn't want to do, because I think I'd be better at it now.
Right.
Um, and commercial dance, hip hop, and things like that, I would be better at it if I'd just given it a bit more. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, when okay, in the time as a professional, when you're between shows, what do you spend a lot of time doing? How does your day go? Do you have to spend a lot of time? Well, I won't presume that I know. I'll just ask you the question. What kind of things do you do when you're sort of going for the next job, or you're waiting for something else to start?
Well, I mean, it depends on when it is, because sometimes jobs will cross over.
Yeah.
So if you're waiting for something else to start, but you're not working at the
Mhm.
time, usually because I'm a bit of a workaholic and I can't sit still for more than 5 minutes,
Mhm.
I would usually take some other work. So whether that would be teaching, that's kind of, the teachings happen the older I've got. I know that it's not the most comfortable thing for people when they first graduate, because
Mhm.
I think you don't feel like you've got anything to offer, but that isn't true for anyone who wants to teach.
Mhm.
Teaching or theatre work, other theatre work, front of house work's very good because it's evening work, so you've got time to audition during the day.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, Same with bar work. Obviously, I wouldn't advise you work somewhere that's open till 3 or 4 in the morning. Not good when you've got auditions, but bar or restaurant work, that's
Yeah.
what we tend to do. But other than that, anything creative. So if something comes up, you've got work coming in, so you've got money coming in from a certain time,
Mhm.
take the opportunity to collaborate with people, little projects, anything that can fill that creative void while
Yeah.
you're waiting to work, and
Yeah.
do research on the job that you're about to do.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, this is a question because I just have no idea. I mean, do dancers have regular routines in order to keep kind of skills and flexibility going when they're not on days when they're not working? How do they organize that?
Some do and some don't. It's as simple as that. So you'll find some of my friends will do 3 or 4 dance classes a day, and then they'll go and do the show in the evening, or when they're not doing a show, they'll do the
Yeah.
same thing.
Mhm.
That incurs quite a cost in London. So you're talking, that's about 30 or 40 pounds a day,
Right.
especially at like the big studios.
Yeah.
Some people will have a gym routine. So, for example, for me, and this is only really in the past year,
Mhm.
I find I work best if I do a gym routine. So I can do that at home, or I can do that at a gym. So that'll be 4 times a week. And then when I'm not doing that, I might do a dance class, particularly in lockdown, which has been amazing.
Right.
In the same way, like I've been offering, some of my classes are free, and I'll do some of my friends' free classes. So that's been very nice.
Right. Right.
Yeah, but usually it'll consist of something like that, some singing lessons here and there, some acting classes for some people, or building on their skills. You can never rest on the thought that you know everything just because you've trained for 3 years, 2 years. You don't. I'm 30, nearly 33, and I still learn from 21-year-olds that I work with. So it's a constant cycle with this business.
Yeah.
Where you have to keep up with it, otherwise you get left behind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, Let me ask you a bit about being a dance captain. You were talking about that first job on Top Hat when you were a dance captain. So I don't know anything about this, which is quite obvious. So the choreographer is working with the cast, obviously, through the rehearsal period, and then probably for the first run of the show, the first few nights or weeks or whatever, and then the dance captain takes over. So you've got to have learned all the choreography for the show by that point. Is that right?
Yeah.
So you've learned everybody else's moves as well as your own.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it, exactly.
So do you spend time studying that when you're not in rehearsals? Do you spend time with books of, or is it something you just learn visually by repetition? How does that work?
It's again, it's a bit of both, and it used to be very set in stone the way that it was done, but as the years have gone on, particularly since I started doing dance captain jobs, it's the strictness of it has kind of lessened, which is nice because it means that everybody can go about it in the way that they feel works for them.
Right.
So usually during the rehearsal period, you learn the choreography as quickly as you can. Sometimes people will be in different rooms, so you might not be able to learn all of it by the time you get into tech, but technical rehearsals, sorry. But hopefully by the end of a rehearsal period, you vaguely know it all. You can, which is what I do, which is what I was taught to do at the start, so I do continue to do this, is write up what we call a dance captain Bible, which is pages of formations, however you want to draw them, where the transitions happen, what happens here, what happens there. Usually the Bibles end up about this thick. They're big, but it means that you can always reference it. So if anybody asks you a question 6 months into the run where you haven't been practicing the whole show, because why would you, then you've got something to reference. You will then have videos usually of the show. Some people work solely from videos. So some people don't draw up a Bible, and that's absolutely fine. But for me, I like to have both. And yeah, you basically end up learning a show. So if you asked me now to do Top Hat from the beginning to the end of the show, it's so ingrained in my brain, I could probably do it for you. So it's, but I couldn't do that with every show. Yeah. So there's, you will either enjoy a dance captain job or you won't. There are two different types of brain, and you suit it or you don't, and some people have learned that the hard way. But sure. It's really rewarding though. It's a great job.
Okay. Did you study choreography when you were at college, when you were studying dance?
Sort of. I think that there was a diploma course and a degree course, which there still is. I did the diploma, so there was a lot less emphasis put on creation and creative sections, like sectors, parts of it. Right. We were more performance based. Okay. The degree got to choreograph and create things, and obviously their dissertations would involve choreography quite often. Yeah. Which we didn't have to do, but I think we had 1 or 2 choreography projects or choreographic projects. Yeah. So it wasn't something I did until more recent years, which is, yeah, probably the past 4 or 5 years, I've started to explore that a bit more.
Okay. Okay. Does that mean you've got some thoughts about stuff that you'd like to choreograph yourself one day or whatever? Is that something you aspire to doing, or?
It wasn't until a few years ago when I choreographed something for a friend, a stage management friend of mine, or lighting friend. She was doing stage management, needed to create a piece with lighting, and she asked me to choreograph a number with, let's say 10 people, and that sparked a real interest for it in me. I would love to choreograph some tap dancing pieces, because that's really kind of my forte. And I am actually, hopefully, choreographing something in tap soon. So it's a new thing. I think the older that I've got, the more I trust my skills. And also the more you want to progress. I can't dance forever, so I would like to carry on doing what I'm doing, but kind of teaching the next generation.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
I think actually, so Jenny, I'll say this, there's some people watching, and I'll say to the people watching, if you've got any questions for Jenny, then please can you type them into the chat panel on Zoom in front of you, which you should be able to find the button for somewhere on the screen in front of you. And if you do that, then I'll read out questions to Jenny. Oh, okay, so here's the first one. There we go, that's great. So this is Simon, I think. And the question is, so how important do you think it is to be versatile in terms of dancing, singing, acting kind of things? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. I think that if you consider yourself an actor, singer, or an actor or a singer, it is very important to at least have some confidence in movement. But that doesn't mean you have to be a prima ballerina or the best tap dancer there ever was. But it is advisable to have some confidence, because you will always, in whatever capacity you work in, have to do some movement. And that's goes as far as plays. Quite a lot of plays at the National, for example, in recent years have used movement and choreography for scene transitions. So in regards to that, I would say it's important to have experience in every field. You don't have to worry about the singing side if that's not something you're interested in. Musicals, obviously you do, but plays, don't worry so much. I think it's less important these days to be brilliant at everything, because musicals and shows are so diverse, diverse and different to each other. So, you'll have Waitress and then you'll have Lion King, very different shows. So I think it's important, but don't stress yourself if you don't consider yourself the best dancer or the best singer or the best actor. That's my answer to that.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, I hope that answers your question, Simon. So here's another question from Eve. And the question, so what's your favorite thing about your job and your least favorite thing?
Okay, great question. My favorite thing about what I do, and this is going to sound really sad, but it's true, is allowing people to escape from things for 2.5 hours, making people happy. And I've always been that way. I live my life that way. I like to try and, as I said before, I'm quite a positive person, and I like to try and give that to other people, because I feel like it's again, without sounding too sad and mystical, I think it's a bit of a gift to feel like that. So that's my favorite thing about what I do, seeing people in the audience having been transported for 2 hours to somewhere else and having enjoyed themselves. Bearing in mind, the shows I've done are all cheerful shows, so it's very easy to do that. Some shows will do the opposite, but that's what I like to do. My least favourite thing about what I do is actually linked to current affairs, that people don't think it's a real job. And I find it very frustrating having to explain that and having to help people to understand how hard we train to do this and how important it is in the world. And I think that unfortunately, a lot of people, we get a lot of stick. A lot of people say, no one said it to me yet, so I hope none of you do now, but no one said it to me yet, but they have said to my friends, get a real job. And it just so happens that we enjoy our job. That just comes with the nature, but that doesn't mean that it's easy. It is one of the hardest industries that there is. We take a lot of knocks, and that's hard. So yeah, that's my least favorite thing about it, which obviously isn't linked to the job itself. It's more about what surrounds it. But yeah, spread the word, everyone. It's a real job. We work really hard.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising, actually, isn't it? Because I mean, I saw the production of Follies, and I saw 42nd Street, and when you see a show like that, what you see is a really highly trained bunch of professionals working as a unit, as a highly skilled unit with one kind of single purpose, and it is quite an amazing both level of skill and level of discipline, isn't it, really? And I think anybody seeing that would just would think, gosh, I'm seeing a lot of, I'm getting a lot for my money here.
Yeah, yeah, we'll tell them.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so there's another question from Georgie. Okay. Oh, right, this is an interesting one. So is there anything that you've had to learn to do for your job that you weren't expecting to have to learn how to do? Yeah.
I think so far, off the top of my head, they would only really link to like dance moves. A lot of the shows that I've done have been within my skill set already. However, during Mac and Mabel, if anyone knows the musical, there's a wonderful number called well, it's the Keystone Cops number in the film, or in the sorry, if you look back in history, if you look on YouTube and look up Keystone Cops, it's that kind of, it's known as clowning. So it's basically being silly without actually being funny, trying to be funny. Look it up, Keystone Cops. And I am not, or I wasn't before Mac and Mabel, very good at being funny because I didn't know how to do it. So this is another moment where I had to be a yes person and go, right, I am not going to be very good at this to begin with, but I'm going to learn. And we had two clowns who came in, like professional clowns, who came in to teach us how to do it. And so I always say, since then, I learned how to clown. And it has helped me so much in my career. So in 9 to 5, I had to cover a part where I had to be funny. And that would have terrified me before doing the clowning. So yeah, I've had to learn how to do that. I haven't had to learn like to juggle or to ride a horse or anything like that so far. I don't think, but I'll let you know when I do.
Okay, no, it's a great answer. Okay, yeah. Okay, so here's another question coming in from Jade. So have you always spent a lot of time listening to musicals? I guess so. I guess Jade's asking, you know, have you spent loads of time and always been interested in the kind of repertoire of musicals? Because you've been in shows that are kind of, that are I guess you'd call classic shows that are, you know, originated a long time ago, and also some more recent ones as well.
Yeah.
Modern ones.
So as I said, I'm from a musical family. So my dad went to music college, my sister went to music college, my mum was a singer and an actress, not necessarily professionally for very long, but they're all musical. My brother did sing when he was younger.
Mm-hmm.
So we always had music in the house, in the car. It was actually wonderful, and I really miss it. I should do it more in my flat. Always had music on. And when we realized that we could start renting CDs from the library, which is what we used to do, and then my dad used to burn them, don't tell anyone, he used to burn them onto CDs for me. Yeah, we used to listen to Les Mis or Phantom of the Opera or Miss Saigon. That was one of my favorites. And they were all kind of big Broadway or West End shows that were on CD or on tape that we could rent. So I can sing probably Les Mis from the top to the end for you because I listened to it so many times. Same with Titanic and Miss Saigon, Chess, those kind of shows, big shows. So yes, I did when I was younger spend a lot of time listening to musicals. And then weirdly, this is going to sound bizarre, when I went to college and was learning like musical theatre as a trade, I didn't listen to very much and I barely went to see anything because I was working so hard. So then when I came out of college, when I was working, still probably didn't listen to a lot. And then in recent years have made a point, like I was saying, about doing your research, about looking at shows and listening to shows and that kind of thing. So yes, when I was younger, yes, now that I've gotten older, but not really in the middle, which is very naughty.
Okay. Well, we're getting to the end of our time. Here's a question from Sam, which is a good one, actually. Have you ever messed up big time?
Yeah. Yeah, of course. We all have. I can give you a few examples. Singing in the rain. We used to dance in the rain at the end and I slipped and went skidding into the curb. Same show, I had to dance on a chair and they had holes in the back and I went to step off the chair and I stepped through the back of the chair, so I got my leg stuck in it. Somebody punched me in the face off stage accidentally, not deliberately.
Right.
And I had a nosebleed, so I couldn't go on stage. I forgot my lines when I was on for the lead in 9 to 5 and my parents were watching, completely forgot what I was saying for about 10 seconds. I've slipped up ladders. I got stuck in a car once. It happens.
Right.
Something happens.
Yeah.
Every show.
Okay.
Live theatre, guys.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess you've got to be resilient, really, haven't you? I guess, and just kind of be able to put it behind you quickly.
Oh, completely. And at the end of the day, the majority of people don't even notice it's happened.
Sure.
So everyone on stage will know, but the majority of the audience will never know. And you have to laugh it off because you can't do anything about it. So you just have to go, it's live theatre. Everyone will understand. They're on my side. It's okay.
Right. Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, I think we are pretty much at the end of our time, Jenny. That's been fantastic, really, really interesting and quite inspiring, I think, and hopefully inspiring to our, our people who are applying to come to study dance at the college, and there'll be probably some current students logged in as well, and some students who are, in the process of leaving us and going to a dance school or university to do further study. It's great, thank you. We at the college we run diplomas in level 2 and level 3 in diplomas in performing arts and dance, and then level 3 people specialize in dance, so they usually stay with us for 2 years and then mostly try and go to dance schools after that.
Yeah.
Training, but I think they will find it just really, really interesting and inspiring. So great, thank you very much for your time and much appreciated. Okay, thanks everybody who's logged on.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been lovely.
Okay, great. And see you soon. Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Bye for now.
Bye.